Welcome to ACC Student News.
The news students can use. I'm Langston.
And I'm Colin. Here are these week's stories.
The beverage giant PepsiCo has plans to close 4 U.S. bottling plants and lay off nearly 400 workers. The company said the closures will impact 136 workers in Cincinnati, 131 workers in Chicago, 137 in Pennsylvania, and fewer than 50 in Atlanta. PepsiCo confirmed that the Chicago plant is the only plant that will fully close, while sales, delivery, and warehouse functions will continue at the other locations. The company lowered its sales forecast for the year as consumers in the U.S., China, and elsewhere are holding back on buying its drinks and snacks after years of price hikes. PepsiCo's net income fell 5% in the July through September period.
A Chinese student at the University of Michigan is facing criminal charges for voting as a non-U.S. citizen and is facing 2 crimes. The 19-year-old from China, who is legally present in the U.S. but is not a citizen, registered to vote using his University of Michigan student ID. Other documents showing residency of Ann Arbor. The ballot was cast at an early voting site. Later, the student contacted the local clerk's office, asking if he could somehow get his ballot back. According to the Detroit News, the student's ballot is expected to count in the upcoming election because there is no way to retrieve it once it's been put in through the tabulator. They have not released the identity of the student.
U.S. officials believe that Eric Trump and Jared Kushner have been targeted by Chinese government hackers. Their phones were hacked through U.S. telecom firms like AT&T, Lumen, and Verizon, consider it to be among the most concerning national security-related hacks in recent times. Government officials believe that they were trying to get sensitive info on private communications of senior officials from both Harris's and Trump's parties that would be of interest to Beijing. The FBI is currently carrying out a high-stakes investigation so the upcoming election does not get tampered with.
Police stated they think a man suspected of setting ballot boxes on fire, 2 in Vancouver, Washington, and 1 in Portland, Oregon. Incendiary devices were located attached to the side of the ballot boxes. Officials have found 488 damaged ballots from a burned ballot box in Vancouver. Investigators believe the man responsible for hundreds of damaged ballot boxes is suspected to be white male man between the ages of 30 and 40 years old, who is balding or has very short hair. The man has a medium to thin build.
The Russian court is fining Google $20 billion after Google restricted 17 Russian propaganda channels on YouTube. The case was first opened in 2022, back when Google first blocked the channels and was ordered by a Russian court to restore the accounts within 9 months or face charges. Since then, the fine has doubled each week for every week of non-compliance. The fine is substantial side by side to the entire global economy, which is around $110 trillion.
A New York man was house raided in search of a squirrel, but not just any squirrel, Peanut the squirrel, who happened to be an Instagram famous squirrel with over 534,000 followers. Peanut was confiscated from his New York residence by the New York Department of Environmental Conservation Department. They issued a statement that said, following multiple reports about the potentially unstable housing of an animal that could carry rabies. They also mentioned that it is illegal in the state of New York to keep any wildlife as a pet. Mark Logan stated he took Peanut in after his mother was hit by a car 17 years ago. He tried to release him after 8 months, but the Longo learned that he lacked the skills to survive in the wild. Longo fears that Peanut has been put down.
That's all for this half of ACC Student News. I'm Langston.
And I'm Colin. Stay tuned for more news.
first came to the ACC, I'd say that welding really did stick out in particular because it was it was the main program that the ACC did, the headliner almost, and I wanted to be a part of that.
I chose welding because at first I saw one of I think my uncles do it, and it looked really cool. It was really satisfying. More than that, I just like how it is. It's cool, nice, relaxing.
What I've learned here in the first few months is that don't be worried that you're not getting it immediately. You will get it eventually. That's what I did, and some of the stuff that we have learned is how to power up the arc torches and use stick rods, which are the small rods that we would say light and use to weld plates that we've been doing so far.
Main thing I enjoy from this class is making the friends and just having a good time while also welding and all that. It's really fun. It's just a fun class. The teacher's really cool too.
What I've enjoyed is really just atmosphere, because it's a friendly atmosphere. The teachers are easy to talk to and they'll help you if you really need help. And just the fact that I love it here. It's a machine shop. It's something I don't get to do often, and I really think that's great.
Welcome back to ACC Student News. I'm Trey.
And I'm Jory. Here are some more stories.
A Porter County foster mom, Jennifer Wilson, murdered her foster son by sitting on him until he was no longer able to breathe. In April, a 10-year-old Dakota Stevens died at South Bend Hospital due to a mechanical asphyxia in a video that was released. Wilson can be seen laying across Stevens around his neck area for 20 seconds. In another, she can be seen laying near his lower half. 30 minutes prior, it was reported that Stevens ran away to the next door neighbors, asking if they could call the police. He was then dragged back to the house where Wilson sat on him. Wilson charged her plea to guilty after pleading not guilty in July. She is being charged reckless homicide.
The state prosecutor closed their arguments in the Delphi murder trial. Richard Allen is accused of slaying 2 teens who went missing in Indiana in 2017. The trial is entering day 13. During their case, the prosecution showed that Allen was the bridge man that was seen on one of the teens' phones shortly before their disappearance. A prison psychologist testified that Allen confessed to the murders after insisting he was innocent for the first few months. She also stated that when Allen arrived, he was fragile with history of major depressive disorder, anxiety, and showed signs of dependent personality syndrome. The defense starts its case next week.
The once lively Whiting Mascot Hall of Fame Museum has closed and is now transforming into a refined office space, costing around $18 million to construct, according to Whiting Mayor Steven Spibar. The museum had never become self-sufficient and was eating up roughly $500,000 tax dollars every year. With only around 50,000 visitors per year, Whiting BP Oil Refine will be reconstructing the museum into new office space. No specific time has been announced for the office to become developed. The museum closes for good September 14th of this year.
North Korea has been testing intercontinental ballistic missiles that have flown for its longest recorded flight time. Its theoretical range is capable of striking the U.S. mainland. South Korea and Japan's military reported Thursday. It marked North Korea's first ICBM launch since December and comes as the reclusive nuclear-armed country may be seeking to grab U.S. attention ahead of the November 5th presidential election. The launch also comes as the nation has ratcheted up its rhetoric against U.S. allies, South Korea and Japan. As NATO and the Pentagon estimate that North Korea has sent about 10,000 soldiers to train in eastern Russia.
Swedish scientists have reconstructed the face of a 400-year-old woman who was buried with a padlock on her foot and an iron sickle across her neck. According to scientists, the woman was Zosiah, 17th century. She lived in the 17th century. She was embalmed in an unmarked cemetery northern Portland. The remains were found 2022 by a team of archaeologists in Portland. Oscar Nelson is the lead scientist and said that she suffered a health condition that caused fainting, severe headaches, and possible mental health issues. The sickles, padlock, and types of wooden found in her grave were believed to hold magical properties that protected the public from vampires. Nelson used 3D printing to recreate a replica of her skull. That's all the stories that we have for this week. I'm Trey.
And I'm Jory. Make sure to check out the rest of our videos on YouTube.
And follow us on Instagram at ACC Hammond TV.